Welcome back, everybody, to episode 7, episode 8. I don't even know anymore. It's been such a long break, but we are back, and we're back for good. It's been a long time. It's been a long 2 weeks since we last seen each other. Well, I see you every day, but that's besides the point. I'm talking to the masses over here. I think it's still very cool, by the way, that we can go live on Instagram while reporting.
It is very cool. I'll tell you, though, to our credit, we only missed 1 week. We recorded 2 other weeks, but for some reason, due to technical difficulties, it didn't upload, and it didn't, we weren't able to bring it to a release point, but we did record. We actually had a very fun live a couple weeks ago. That was probably our longest episode, but if you were live, you enjoyed it, and if you were not live, then you never saw it because it couldn't upload for some reason. But we'll get there. We'll figure out this whole technology thing at some point.
Yeah, we're not so technologically advanced per se, but we are back, and we're back for good. We'll hope to get back to posting, and we actually have some things to talk about this week instead of last week or 2 weeks ago when we did the live. We kind of just went with it. We have some things to talk about.
But I'll say, though, I think we need to go over our top 10 favorite Mets of all time, because that was a lot of fun, and we created a great discussion and some really cool name drops. So I want to kind of go over that again. So we have it in our library of discussions that's recorded and out there. But maybe that's the one thing that I would want to do when we get through this episode. We'll go through it. We'll go over that.
That's a great idea. And to everybody live, if you have questions for us, question about the Mets, question about how we feel about certain things, type it into the live. We'll do our best to answer all the questions and talk about it. But I do agree we should definitely get into our top 10 Mets of all time again, because that was a great discussion. Anyways, so let's talk about the first thing. The Mets are seemingly out on Pete Alonso.
So ready for this? Ready for this?
I'm ready for whatever you have to say.
I'm calling cap. As the kids say today, I'm calling cap.
You are calling cap.
I'm calling cap. I thought this is
why aren't you?
This is part of the negotiation tactics. I think they are moving ahead with some other moves, but Pete Alonso is still in the mix. There are some reports already that they are that they're talking, trying to renew discussions. Either it's starting from the Mets side or it's starting from the Boris side, but they're not done with him. I think they are moving forward. I think they signed Jesse Winker. They signed AJ Minter, which I think is a great move. They're making moves because they were going to make those moves anyway. The only question is, are they really done with Pete Alonso, or they're going to just wait for Pete Alonso to say, all right, fine, I'll take your deal? Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
I mean, it's hard to believe that the Mets are out on Pete Alonso. It really is. It's really hard to believe. You asked Alex Cohn herself, you got to bring back Pete, and she said, we're trying. So, I mean, again, that could just be her saying, we're trying because we're fans and we love her. Love them.
Or get away, or that was her way of saying, get away from me, weirdo.
Quite possibly. But it's really, really hard to believe that the Mets aren't still in on Pete Alonso. It's hard to believe that they're kind of like, screw it. Because if it is a screw it type of thing and the Mets are saying, then Pete Alonso is going to be playing in Japan next year. Because we know that there's not a lot of teams right now that are in on him and that kind of want him. There's not a lot of teams where he fits besides the Mets. So I agree. I do agree. I think this is some negotiation tactics going on. I don't see a world where Pete is no longer on the Mets.
Yeah, listen, I think Seattle is possible for him. Apparently, they're saying Toronto is still in the mix for him. Which again, unless they're moving Vlad, I just don't see it. They were talking. I saw a report that Vlad is going to move over to third, and Pete will play first. I don't know. I know Vlad has played third before, and I could see that happening, but I don't think that's a reality. But you never know. And then I'm thinking about who else is out there. The Giants, maybe, but I just don't know who else is out there. Right? Thank God the Dodgers have a first baseman in Freddie Freeman, because otherwise, obviously, you'd be on the Dodgers, because they get every single person that has a pulse and knows what a baseball is. But I just don't see too many teams that fit Pete Alonso. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know what happens. I don't know how it's going to play out. It's possible that he doesn't re-sign with the Mets. That'll suck. It'll be disappointing. But I don't, in terms of the idea that he's going to sign elsewhere, as the report said, or the Mets are moving on, I'm calling camp on that. He's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to be wearing a different uniform next year.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some reports. Saying that that Pete has reached out to the Mets and said he'll take 3 years, 68, 70, as long as it has opt-outs. I know that the Mets offered him similar like that, just
somewhere in that range,
right? Just, I think his only issue was that there was no opt-outs, right? I think he knows he didn't have a Pete Alonso year, so he wants that opportunity to go out and hit 60 bombs. He'd go out and hit 60 bombs and get the money he wants. So, the Mets didn't give him opt-outs. I think he wants opt-outs. I think the Mets will eventually get to deal with him. I don't see a world where Pete Alonso is not on the Mets.
Listen, if he wants opt-outs and that's what it's going to take to sign him, then I think the Mets need to budge and do that. But actually, this is the first I'm hearing from you that the deal that the Mets offered him didn't have opt-outs. For some reason, I thought that it did. But if that's the case, yeah, throw an opt-out in there. Who cares? So then let him opt out and we'll start over again. And then, worst case scenario, you get Vladdy next year and he opts out and he signs elsewhere. Listen, I would love for Pete Alonso, I've said this from the beginning, right? I would love for Pete Alonso to be a lifelong Met, right? I would love it. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. We don't always get what we want. You don't always get what you want. And if that means he's going to move on, then he'll move on. But again, I don't like any of our internal options. Ryan Clifford is the guy that you always talk about, and he did just get get into the top 10 first base prospects list. But he's not ready. And I don't want to move Mark Vientos over to first base. I guess we will if we have to, but I don't want to. I'd rather try starting Marte at first base, actually. But
that's a take and a half. Starling Marte at first.
I'm saying I'd rather have him than Vientos at first.
What about throwing Brett Beatty there?
I think Brett Beatty's a better defensive third baseman than Vientos, so it wouldn't make sense to do that.
So would you be upset?
What about Jeff McNeil?
Would you be upset opening day if Brett Beatty's a starting third baseman and Mark Vientos is over at first?
Would I be upset? I'd be upset because that means Pete Alonso is not on the team. And I would be upset then because that this offseason that they got Juan Soto, which was the biggest signing in Mets history, it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough, right? We needed Juan Soto to add to our lineup. We needed Juan Soto to be a major piece that we didn't have against the Dodgers last year. And now he's there, but we lost Pete Alonso, who's the biggest power bat in Major League Baseball over the last 5 years. So I don't know where it's going to go. I would be disappointed if if the move that we make is not getting somebody, meaning we didn't re-sign Pete Alonso and somehow and then we didn't trade for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Yeah, not good, not enough, not after the Dodgers just like added to their already pretty decent pitching, right? Not after the Phillies are going to be a solid team again next year. The Cubs got better, so it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers, by the way, are officially over $1 billion in deferrals with this signing of Tanner Scott. They deferred $21 million from that. They're at I think it was like $1.5 billion, somewhere around there.
I don't care about that.
It's crazy. But I mean, everybody's talking about a trade for Vlad Guerrero. Let me tell you now, that is not happening. It's not happening. First of all, I would be upset. I would be upset if we traded for Vlad, because you know what that means? We're giving up our whole farm system, right? Steve Cohen has said on multiple occasions that he values having a strong farm system. So he's not going to give up. He's not going to give up the whole farm system for one player.
Right. So here's the question. Right? Here's the question. Who do you give up? Who would you be comfortable giving up to get Vlad? Listen, Vlad is a much better player than Peter Morgan, right?
He's more. I'll tell you this though. He's really only better in a couple categories. Pete's a better defensive first baseman than him by a long. Pete Alonso is a much better defensive first baseman. Pete Alonso is a much better home run hitter.
Yes, he's got more power.
Right? Pete Alonso strikes out more and doesn't hit for contact. Right? So Pete Alonso is better in two categories. Now, I'd rather have a big bopper because I already have Juan Soto who's going to bat 300. Right? In that 270, 280, 300 range. 270 to 300 range. Now, do I want another $400, $500 million player on my team? I have an $800 million player on my team. I have a $347 million player on my team. Do I want to pay a first baseman $500 million?
So I don't think he's going to get five. I don't think he's going to get 500. I don't think he's going to get 500. But the question is, here's the question is, listen, he's a great player, right? I'm just asking simple, who would you be willing to give up to have Vlad on your team?
I would give up Jet. I would give up Gilbert. I'd give up Sproat. I'd give players up. I'm not denying that he's a great player. I just don't know if trading for him is worth it.
Okay, so tell me when to stop. Okay, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
I'm gonna start listing players. When it's too much, you wouldn't give up that much, say stop, okay?
Sure.
Jet Williams, Brett Beatty, Drew Gilbert, Brandon Sproat, Christian Scott.
Oh, okay, I'm not giving up Christian Scott. I'll say this, I'm not going to give up Christian Scott, but I think Christian Scott's got a bright future ahead of him. There's no shot I'm giving up Mr. Yep. Jane over here says stop also.
Okay.
I'm not giving up Christian.
So we're talking Jet Williams. We're talking Jet Williams, Brett Beatty, Drew Gilbert, and Brandon Sproat. Those four guys.
And throw Starling Marte in there and I'll be okay.
Okay, throw out a contract.
Yeah.
Do not give up Sproat. That's what Jane's saying. So
Jane, I'll give up Sproat. I would. I'll tell you why. Because Sproat is extremely young. He had a great year in the farm system. I watched him in college and I wasn't so impressed with him. He did great last year. I don't know how well he'll do against big league talent, right? He pitched well in college and he faced a lot of those college guys this year. So again, he played well, but against major league talent, I don't know how well he's going to do. Christian Scott, we saw he throws strikes. Brandon Sproat is more of a, he's gonna paint the edges type of guy. He does give up a lot of home runs. So I'm not so high on Sproat. He's great. He's a great player. I would trade him though.
Okay. So there you go. And maybe you throw in a Marte type of player just to cut some of the contract down, right? But listen, if that's what you're giving up for Vlad Guerrero Jr., you still have a solid farm system. Listen, Mauricio is still a rookie. You have Luis Angel Acuna. You have Ryan Clifford. You have further down the line, you have Carson Benj, and you have Jesus Baez, and you still have. Listen, I've been a big fan of Jonathan for a while.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of trading him for a while
because it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of respect for what
you see the value in him.
I see the value in him. So you're going to have, so you still have a solid farm system, and you're in a position to sign Vlad Guerrero for the long term, which, by the way, guess what? The money's there to spend. The money's there to spend. If you need to give up another $350-400 million for Vlad Guerrero, for the next 10 years, yeah, maybe that's what has to happen. We sure as hell know that it's not going to be spent on pitching, right? It's not going to be spent on pitching. So you better have one hell of a lineup, right? And if the foundation is Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, and Vlad Guerrero Jr., are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Here's my thing. If the money's there to spend, like you just said, then why the hell haven't we spent it on your homegrown superstar, Pete Alonso? Now, wait. Don't cut me off here because I'm about to get on an angry rant. We gave Brandon Nimmo $160 million because he's a fan favorite and a homegrown star, right? Why the hell haven't we given that same money, or even go to the amount, slightly that Pete Alonso wants to have him back on the team? It makes no sense. He's going to break the home run record. He's going to break the RBI record. He's going to be an all-time Met. He'll probably get his number retired. Why haven't we given him what he was?
Resign.
I understood. I'm saying if he resigns, if he breaks the home run record, if he breaks the RBI record, right? Why hasn't he been re-signed? The money is there. We know that.
So this is where he screwed up. This is where he screwed up by going with Scott Boras, right? When there could have been a reasonable deal that's out there, but Scott Boras is going to try to finagle and play the weight game on all his clients, because that's just the way he is. I mean, think about that. Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, and I forgot the other guy who was off forgetting right now. They didn't sign until February, March last year, which is nuts. So this is the game that Scott Boras plays. What Pete Alonso should have done is he should have accepted the contract extension a while ago. And what he still can do is get a good contract now from the Mets, which, by the way, $70 million is $23.3 million AAV, which is just under what's his name, Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson. Which, by the way, that's exactly where he is, right? That's exactly where he is.
Jane asked a question. He said, "Don't you guys think this is all a power play of Stearns showing Boras that you won't be strong on?" It very well could be.
I think Stearns has his values on people. He has his value, and he doesn't budge from his value. So I don't know if he's strong-arming Boras. I think he's doing what David Stearns does, and he has his value, and he doesn't move away from that value. If you fit it, you fit it. If you don't, you're out. And I think what Scott Boras is trying to do is trying to get Stearns to up his value. And David Stearns is an incredible GM, and he's now president of player operations or whatever whatever the term is, player of baseball operation, the president of baseball operations. That's what his title is. So he's not playing the game. He's saying, listen, this is what he's worth. We do see the value in him as a Met, homegrown talent, but we're not going to give him a 5-year, $200 million contract like you wanted to give him, Zuri, right? You wanted to give him $200 million, right? When the talk was out there about giving him 3 years, $30 million, I even thought that was excessive. But, as someone who is not in the GM business, I probably would have signed. I probably would have done that on a short-term deal for a high AAV. Okay, I would do that. And then he turns 33, and then he really starts his decline. Okay. But, they gave him a 30-year, $70 million contract offer, and he said no. It's hard to be upset at the Mets. It's hard. If he would have come back and said 3 years, 75, they probably would have done it. And I think that's what they're trying to do right now. I don't think actually
I don't agree with you there, because I saw a report that said that Pete Alonso asked for a couple $1 million more. The Mets said no. The Mets were very firm at their 3 years, 68, 70. I posted a tweet a couple days ago saying Stearns is operating like he's still in Milwaukee, and he needs to take advantage of Steve Cohen's money. Now, you take advantage of that, and you give. No.
You hear of a guy called Juan Soto?
Yeah, I did. David Stearns had nothing to do with that. That was all Steve Cohen. You think a guy who won't give a pitcher more than, you look at the great pitching we had, and he didn't go get anything. He got Griffin Canning, right? So I don't want to hear. He didn't have anything to do with that. I truly think that Steve Cohen needs to step in a little bit and kind of get this Pete Alonso deal done.
Yeah, but you can't. As an owner, you can't do that because you hire a guy like David Stearns to do this work. If every time your GM or president of baseball ops, starts negotiating, and then all of a sudden the owner comes in and undermines it, it's a terrible job to have, and no one's going to want to work for the Mets. No one's going to want to work for Steve Cohen because he's going to undermine everything. I think he has to let it play out, and yes, I'm sure there's a little bit of Stearns. Not playing the games or shenanigans with Scott Boras. This isn't the first time that the two of them have to deal with each other, right? They've had other players that they both represented or had interest in. So I just think that they have to come to an agreement. Pete Alonso wants to get as much as he can. David Stearns has his value, and it's going to go there. But yeah, I don't think it's it's about strong arming Boras and telling him, I'm not playing these games with you. He's doing what he's got to do to put together a team. Now, again, like where we started, we'll go full circle here. If the Mets don't re-sign Pete Alonso and they don't have Vladdy playing first base, or somehow pull off a trade for some really solid first base power guy, I don't even know who that guy is that's out there right now that is possible. I'm really nervous for the season. I don't think that they're done. I don't think that their job's done. Now, I love the AJ Minter move. I really love it. And with again, you look at the contract. Tanner Scott gets 4 years, $75 million, and he got 2 years, $22 million, something like that, right?
Yeah, correct.
No brainer. No, I mean that's David Stearns just doing amazing work.
Right. So we have to move on from this Pete Alonso discussion a little bit. I'll move on to our next topic, which you introduced perfectly. AJ Minter to the Mets on a 2-year, $22 million deal. I love it. I think it's exactly what we needed for the bullpen. I think it's exactly what we needed for the bullpen. He's a great pitcher. He's a great lefty that we needed, right? We talked about this a couple times. We need that lefty setup guy to pair with Daniel Nunez and Reed Garrett and Edwin Diaz and Reed Garrett. So that's a phenomenal ad. I really do like it.
I would still like to see the Mets go out and bring back Brooks Raley, just to have that extra lefty in the pen. And then the question is like,
You still want
What?
Stanek?
yeah, I still listen. I why not? Like Stanek would be an incredible have in your thing, and you go, you at that point you've got a stacked bullpen, right? You have your long spot starter type guys, whether it's going to be Griffin Canning or Paul Blackburn or Jose Buto or the other dude that's I'm forgetting, but doesn't matter.
Daniel Nunez.
No, not Daniel Nunez, but whatever. So that's a solid bullpen. And what we know is that if you're going to make a run in October, you got to get people out in the 6th, 7th, and 8th inning and 9th inning in a playoff game against stacked lineups. So I think those moves have to be made. And it's a shame the whole Roki Sasaki, thing fell to the Dodgers, which again,
We all knew that was going to happen.
we all knew it was going to happen. And all this idea of other teams is just, having to create a story. So I guess they did. I feel bad for the Blue Jays because they keep being the runner-up on all of you guys, but
Let's move on. I think this was a great ad. So I made a tweet, and I still kind of feel this way. I still kind of feel this way a little bit about our team going into 2025, right? So I made this tweet right after the news came out about the Mets out on Pete Alonso. I wrote, "I'll be honest, I'm not confident in this team. There's no protection for Soto. Our protection would be Pete Alonso. He's not there. Brandon Nimmo and Mark Vientos, I'm not very confident in them protecting him. Although Mark Vientos is great, and we love Mark Vientos, I don't know how well he's going to do in his sophomore season. Our rotation is honestly equivalent to a high school varsity starting rotation, right? I don't think our rotation is going to be as good as we think it is, right? Minaya, he's going to be good. Wow, I'm forgetting his name. Kodai Senga, we still have big question marks. How is he going to perform after his long year of injury? I don't think David Stearns or David Peterson is going to repeat his season that he just had. You and me talked about this earlier. That David Peterson had the second highest whip on the team. We had a great defense last week. All right, in the rotation. We had a great defense last year. I don't know how well our defense is going to be this year, right? If this is our team going into 2025, we will not make the playoffs and we will finish 81-81. That's how I feel. Without having protection for Soto and with our rotation being very questionable, right? I really don't think that Hefner is going to be successful in turning around all of the guys that he got. I don't think he's going to be successful in creating, right? Because he can be great, but he cannot hit. You cannot expect him to hit and turn around every pitcher he works with. It's just foolish.
right. So listen, I think with Minaya, it'll be difficult for him to have a year like he had last year, but I think he'll be solid. Kodai Senga, in my opinion, is the ace of the team. Now you have between Peterson, Frankie Montas, Clay Holmes, and with one other guy whose name I'm forgetting right now.
Griffin Canning.
No, not Griffin.
David
Canning.
Peterson.
No, Paul Blackburn. But no, there's another guy. Who?
Paul Blackburn.
Oh my gosh, no, there's another guy. His name I'm forgetting right now.
We got Sean Mania. We have David Peterson. We have Kodai Senga. We have Frankie Montas. We have Clay Holmes. We have Griffin Canning. We have Jose Buto, who could be a starter.
Yeah, no, but there's someone. There's a guy in
Christian Scott, who's not.
He's not pitching this year. No, I'm thinking of.
There's no other guy.
Who's the guy? There's a guy I'm thinking about. I can't. Hold on one second.
There's no guy.
There's a guy.
Jane commented, I don't feel all that confident about the composition of this team right now either, as of right now.
Yeah. So in other words, she agrees with you. Listen. Yeah, no. So I'm not thinking right now. Sean Mania will not have as Sean Mania every year as he had last year, but I think he'll be solid. Kodai Senga, like I said, will be the ace. David Peterson, I do believe he's going to continue and build off of what he did last year. I don't have a lot of confidence in Frankie Montas. Clay Holmes, I think, is a question. And then the sixth spot, who I think is going to be Paul Blackburn, I happen to like him. Now the question is, I think what we're going to get from him is one great start, one iffy start, one good start, one iffy spot. Then he'll have a terrible spot, start. Like I think you're never going to know what you're going to get from him. But at the end of the day, it's going to take a solid lineup, and the Mets have a very, very good lineup. But I think what you're concerned about is valid. Is do they have a playoff roster type of lineup? And that's the question. And I don't know if they're there yet.
I don't think so. I'm gonna find something really quickly. This is really unfortunate, but we're gonna have to cut this short eventually, just because my computer is dying and I do not have a charger. But
like we said in the beginning, we are still learning how to do things like charge our computer.
Yes.
So, as of right now, this is how our lineup would look, right? Number 1 would be Francisco Lindor, batting 2, Juan Soto, batting 3 at first base, Mark Vientos, batting 4, Brandon Nimmo. 5 would be Jesse Winker, Starling Marte for the DH, 6, Francisco Alvarez, 7, Jeff McNeil, 8, Jose Siri, 9, Brett Beatty at third. It's not a good lineup. It's not. Paired with a very large questionable rotation, we're not going anywhere. We're not.
Listen,
Truth. That's the sad reality.
I'm going to bring it back again, full circle, because I see you have what's called the Mets trauma going on over here. This whole talk about Pete Alonso moving on, or Mets moving on from Pete Alonso, I'm calling cap. When he signs somewhere else, then I'll believe he's not going to be back on the Mets. And until then, I think he's here. I think I think they just need to work out the deal. They need to figure it out. They need to find something that everyone's comfortable with. Whether it's going to be 3 years, 70, 75 million, 68 million, opt out, no opt out, like whatever it's going to be. I think it's going to be there, and the Mets are going to have Pete Alonso playing first base, and Jesse Winker will come up and have some fun with the fans and get a big hit at a big time. And the Mets are going to have some frustrating losses, and they're going to eke into the playoffs, and then the question is going to be, how much damage can they do in the playoffs? That's what it's going to come down to.
So, like I said, we don't have so much time remaining because my computer's not charged. So let's quickly end this off or not quickly, but we have about 10 minutes before my computer shuts down. So give me your top 10 favorite Mets of all time.
All right, so let me pull up my list again. So that was a lot of fun that we did the other day. I'm gonna get my list back.
If you want to, because I think I have my list right here, so I'll do mine right.
Yeah, you go. Go ahead.
So I had 10 Jose Reyes. I did not get to watch him for so long, but when I did get to watch him, it was a lot of fun watching him. Number 9, this was my favorite player at some point. If we made this list a couple years ago, this guy would have been number 1, Thor Noah Syndergaard. Number 8, you had that life-size sticker poster thing of him, Lucas Duda, which, by the way, I recently got kicked out of the Lucas Duda fan club by Marcos. I don't know if you're in here, but he kicked me out because I was 3 seconds later than somebody for sending in Lucas Duda post. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Number 7, I have the Dark Knight, Matt Harvey. Mets memories is when Matt Harvey came back, and he had that. We were all wearing the Batman mask. That was one of my favorite moments. Number 6, I have Michael Conforto, just signed with the Dodgers, so now I don't like him so much, but as a Met, I loved him. Number 5, I have Pete Alonso. I mean, what he's done is just insane. Hitting tanks after tanks this year was not. Oh, Marco said, "You're not kicked out, just no longer president." We got Pete Alonso, number 5. Number 4, Jacob deGrom. He was disgusting. Number 3, if you guys watched the first episode, I said what my favorite moment of watching the Mets, and it was Wilmer Flores crying after he thought he got traded. So number 3 is Wilmer Flores. Number 2 is David Wright, the captain. He's got to be there. And now I know I'm going to get a lot of hate over here because, Vin from Shea Less really doesn't like this guy, but Brandon Nimmo's my number 1. The second definition of what it means to be a New York Met. That is my top 10 Mets of my life.
It's a good list for someone your age. Now let me pull it back another 25, 30 years, something like that. Right?
Sure.
All right, here we go. Ready? Number 10, Edgardo Alfonso. Number 9, John Franco. Right? He was he gave a lot of heartache to the Mets, but he was their captain. He was a New Yorker. So he had a lot of personality to the team. Number 8, El Cid. Number 50, Sid Fernandez. Number 7, the guy who made, I said this in the last time, the guy who made 30-30 season sexy, Hojo, Howard Johnson. Do you know what his number was?
For some reason, I feel like it's 37, but I'm not sure.
No, 20.
20. Oh, okay, interesting. I don't know why 37 came to my head, but I feel like Hojo.
It couldn't be 37 because 37 is retired, for the longest time. So that was number 7. Number 6 is the polar bear Pete Alonso. Number 5, Doc Gooden. Number 4, by the way, the first game I ever went to was a Doc Gooden 1-0 shutout. Just fun facts there for everybody. Number 4, Kevin McReynolds. Fun fact, what number did he wear?
No clue. Not even going to be.
Not even going to try. He wore number 22.
2-2.
All right. Number 3, probably my favorite Mets pitcher of all time. I mean, not probably. He is my favorite Mets pitcher of all time. David Cone.
You're a big David.
I love David Cone. He was just so solid. He was so solid. Number 2, Mike Piazza. And number 1, the captain, Captain America, David Allen 5 Wright.
David Allen.
That's my top 10.
It's a great top 10. I'll tell you rest.
I didn't even go through my other 16 guys who I had to cut off the list, but
Well, we don't have time. My computer's about to shut down.
okay, so let's go.
But anyways, listen, guys, we're not done. We did take a little bit of a hiatus, even though we did 1 week. We've had a couple issues mechanically and technologically because we're not technologically advanced over here. We don't know what we're doing. But we're not done. We're going to keep recording. We're going to keep posting, keep you guys entertained. TikTok shut down for about 5 minutes, and then it went back up. So we're going to be there until it shuts down again completely. But we're on Instagram. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok for now because who knows what's going on with that. But
Subscribe.
That is-
This man has dual things he's needed to
like, comment, share, do the other things. I right now I'm rambling and I'm just talking. So I think that's it for episode 8.
Let's go Mets.
Metropolitans. New York Metropolitans. For those that don't know, I'm joking. Okay, I'm going to ramble on here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Everybody who watched the live stream, thank you very much for coming and asking your questions. We hope to redo the David Wright jersey giveaway again at some point. We're lazy and we're just not doing it, but it'll come eventually. But that's what's happening.
See, this is okay, let me explain to everybody what's going on right here. Azriel is trying to figure out a good close to the episode. He's got to figure out a good transition to a close. And until he comes up with something he said, he's just going to keep going. He'll go for the next hour or until his computer shuts down. But this is Azriel trying to say goodbye.
Stop throwing me out. Okay? Let me do my thing. All right. I'm just trying to figure out a way to say goodbye to everybody watching. All right.
Yeah, and listen, and Jane,
I guess with that,
yeah, well, hold on. Jane, I'd rather have the snowstorm you're having than the 5 degrees we have over here in Chi-Town, okay? So enjoy your snowstorm, stay warm, and as always, let's go Mets.
hey, and listen, 16th day.
That's a perfect ending. We could just end it right there, but no, you keep going.
I'm just saying that there's 68 days until opening day. Or 68 days until opening day. And with that, episode 7-8 is now over. We will see you next episode.